Hey Beaver fam, it's McKenna Martinez, forward for the Oregon State women's soccer team. You're listening to the Belligerent Beavs podcast. Chop 'em.
Was that like faint screaming?
Can you repeat that, Benny? I want to make sure the listeners at home get word for word and sound for sound, decibel for decibel. Exactly.
That sounded louder now.
Are you yelling into the microphone, or is that what anything sounded like at Husky Stadium on Friday night with how goddamn windy it was?
Yeah, both.
Welcome to the 70th episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast. This is your sanctuary of sadness, but still purveyors of positivity and any other kind of alliterative puns. Obviously, all three of us are devastated over the heartbreak in Seattle on Friday night. Husky Stadium just continues to be a house of goddamn horrors for your favorite football team, which is, of course, the Oregon State Beavers, the last hope in this cruel world. Beavs fall to 6-3. We are going to get into the nitty-gritty of everything, the game, what lies ahead and everything. I am your co-host, Terry Horstman, at Terry Horstman on Twitter, at Terrence Horstman on Instagram. I normally don't say the socials until the very end, but we took a bye week last week. We're coming off a loss. Maybe we're switching it up, guys. I don't know.
You also missed our end last time.
You did.
I did. Yeah. A thunderstorm on the North Shore of Minnesota decided that this podcast is better without me. And I listened to the very end of that episode, and it was better. So I may be retiring from the Belligerent Beavs podcast very soon here if things continue like this, which I'm sure many of our listeners would be happy to hear. Just kidding. I know I'm the favorite. All three of us are equal favorite. Anyway, I am joined, as I always am, by my dude, JP Bertram in Portland, rocking a Belligerent Beavs logo tee and a dope WNBA matching dad hat. That's pretty sick. I haven't seen those. I have that hoodie. I do not have that hat, and I want that hat.
Just be all orange.
Be all orange, just a giant pumpkin. I didn't even realize this. On the positive front, I am 16 days away from my flight to Portland for the TK 3085 and Thanksgiving in Portland, and a whole week in the great state of Oregon with you two. So I'm saying with you, JP, again.
Perfect.
As I don't understand.
I'm in your room right now.
You are in my room, and I'm going to steal that.
I can see your bed.
And of course, that creepy screamer creeping at my Portland bed is Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Weegage. Up in the great state of Washington. We love the state of Washington with the exception of the goddamn Huskies beating us again in Seattle.
That's true. Yeah. Not a fun time to be a resident of this state.
As a Beaver fan, you're wearing a dope home field Oregon State shirt, though.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Thanks, man.
Are you wearing the home field hoodie?
I'm wearing the home field hoodie.
Yeah.
Just the regular one. Regular shirt.
Benny's got the tee on. Look at us being just company men, partnership men, just shouting out all influencers, you could say. I didn't say that, but certain contracts we've signed have said that, and that's pretty cool. So
I was an influencer on Friday night. Yeah, I influenced everyone in my section, Husky and Beaver fans, to yell at the Duck fans that decided to wear their jerseys in the section.
And Duck fan, so we're gonna dive into the nitty gritty of the actual football game, X's and O's, the hard hitting analysis that you come to the Belligerent Beavs podcast for, listeners. So don't you worry. But Benny, you were of the three of us, you were the only one who was at the game on Friday. Again, a 24-21 heartbreaker. But something that I think Oregon State fans and Washington fans have come together on over the years since 1895 that this rivalry has taken place. And that is a mutual hatred. And a representative of that hatred was at the game and causing a bit of a ruckus.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a group of it was weird. It was a group of Duck fans. Like 5 maybe. They all had Oregon jerseys on.
Weird.
But you would think
they were wearing the gloves. It is weird that they came to our game with Washington wearing their stuff when they live rent free in our minds. that any Duck fan will tell you they never think about Oregon State. They just travel to Oregon State games to tell you how they are living rent free in our minds. That's
yeah.
Just interesting. Just an interesting observation that I am making now, Duck fans. I know a few of you are listening.
which they could counter that if it was tickets like up in the nosebleeds, but these were like 5th row tickets, so they spent a pretty penny to come and be whatever they were trying to be.
Belligerent, you could say.
Antagonistic.
Maybe
they tried to be.
Yeah. Belligerent and antagonistic they're very close. The line between antagonistic and belligerent is blurry, one could say.
Yep.
But one is, just charming, cuddly, and funny and harmless, while the other is just goddamn annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Are they just prematurely upset about Dan Lanning's imminent departure for Auburn University? Did you ask them, Benny?
I didn't. I don't think the word had come out, or I had not heard that rumor by that point yet. But
wasn't it a foregone conclusion the minute he joined the program that it would be a one and done?
Yeah. He had the imprint of the duck on the sole of his shoe. It is such a stepping stone school now.
Once they failed to woo the Big Ten into letting them join, I think that was the final nail in the coffin.
That's right.
But also, so Benny, you were there. A Duck fan got kicked out of your section.
Hey, I got to hand it to you, Benny. Your on-premise journalism, video journalism was amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks. I had a lot of free time, especially when the lights went out for 20 minutes. But yeah, it was, we'll get into, like you said, the X's and O's later, but I thought just sort of a couple main notable points. Number one is that Oregon State fans showed up like crazy for this. I've been to a couple of away games in the last couple years, and this was, there were Husky fans that were talking to me like, we had no idea that Oregon State traveled this well. Yeah. And they did. And I think that's that's something to point at, is when our team's playing well, our fans travel well. So that was really good to see. And it was the conditions there. I don't know what they look like on TV, but they were, it was windy as hell. And it was it was the coldest 58-degree weather I've ever been in my entire life.
Well, if you followed our socials, you would have seen, again, your video journalism of your hot dog buns shivering in the wind.
Yeah.
Someone tagged one of my favorite social media accounts is Footy Scran, which just tweets pictures of different concession items at different soccer stadiums around the world. And it's often like they'll post stuff that like looks amazing and fire, but also just like really shitty hot dogs, because especially like in like English stadiums, but England, love you, love English pubs, love the Premier League. London, great time. Food, not a big fan. we all have our faults. So someone tagged Footy Scran in the video of your dry ass hot dog.
Dude, it was so dry.
In a way, it was one of the saddest looking hot dogs ever, even without the wind involved.
It was so, it was dry before the wind, but the wind definitely sucked every little ounce of moisture out of that thing.
Was there ketchup, mustard, and relish on it, and it just blew away?
Yeah. No, I put the ketchup, mustard, no relish. They didn't have relish, but ketchup and mustard on after, because it was so windy that the pour from the little packet to the hot dog, the wind would have just carried like streams of ketchup and mustard.
You got to use the packet as like a spreading device. In that. How was the hot dog? Did it turn out okay?
No, it was so bad.
Okay.
It was, yeah. But Husky Stadium, famous for a lot of things, but not their food. Their food's just, Research Stadium's better.
Well, obvi.
Of course. It tied in nicely though. You guys saw this, I think, right? We had that one random UW fan find us on social media, and
the butts guy.
Yeah, we weren't even talking about anything really about UW or their football team. We were literally mentioning that how windy it is in the Northwest. That people's power was like dropping. So
there's a Duck fan who was like, "You fucking losers, blame it on the power outage already."
And I saw that guy too.
This tweet was posted like 6 hours before the game.
Telling time isn't their forte. They don't teach that in Eugene. But this guy Devin James, who was like, "You should be more worried about the butt the Beavers are about to receive," and he quickly deleted it, but as we had proven, the internet doesn't forget, and we screenshotted it and proclaimed really our love of butts, of all butts, and
of course,
even buns flapping in the wind around a hot dog are still butts.
Exactly,
it's kind of like that conversation. Right. Like is like a hot dog a sandwich? Well,
no, it's a butt.
No, it's a butt.
Yeah.
And we are a butt positive podcast.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So shout out to at Devin James 66 on Twitter. Thanks for reaching out, and also thank you for being a good sport. Very, very fun interaction for the three of us. Congrats on the win, I guess. Reluctant congrats, but also just a shout out to mutual love of butts.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Hashtag butts.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're all just people, and we all have butts.
It's true.
Yeah, we're all sitting on our butts making this goddamn podcast. But anyways, there has been but that's a 1T but good news from the weekend. We announced another Belligerent Beavs athlete, the latest addition to the Belligerent Beav Athlete fan on Friday, and this time it is we don't really need to do a drum roll because we made this public, but Tanner Smith.
Hell yeah.
We brought a rocket this time.
Damn right.
Welcome, Tanner. Hell
Welcome to the fam. Very cool.
Yeah, Tanner.
Did you know Tanner Smith? We're big fans of Tanner. Love his game. We've gotten to have a couple conversations with him. Great kid, great catcher. Gonna have a great season for the Beavs. Born and spent a lot of time in Bemidji, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which is
what's in Bemidji?
Bemidji State University is there. Do you know what their university nickname is?
Butts.
It should be the Bemidji State Butts. It'd be great. They are the Bemidji. The Bemidji State Beavers.
Oh, nice.
They have a hockey program, and I'm not sure if they have anything else, but their hockey team's actually pretty good.
Do their hockey uniforms have a beaver on them? That'd be cool.
I was just gonna ask.
We should get some Bemidji. I'll send an email. We'll become Bemidji State influencers.
Is it Bemidji?
Bemidji, yeah.
Oh,
Bemidji.
You guys got weird words out there.
I bet it does not look how it sounds.
Oh, it does.
Does it?
Bemidji. Sorry, Ji. I was saying how it sounds, not spelling how it. I was saying how it sounds, not spelling how it is. Hey, shout out Bemidji, Minnesota. It's beautiful up there. It is very cold, but it is beautiful. I've been in summer and loved it, and winter and hated it. It's the Northland. It's the Northland for sure. But yeah, the hometown of Tanner Smith before he went to Arizona, which is a little bit less cold than that part of the country.
That's a huge change.
I know. Even though, and congratulations, a bit of a begrudging congratulations, because I did not want this team to do well. Though I do like the man in charge, Dusty Baker, world champion.
Yay!
Finally did it without cheating. Houston this
time.
Maybe.
We don't know what's in his gloves.
We don't know what's in his gloves. The Houston Astros are your World Series champions for 2022. Different shade of orange, but whatever.
And I think
We like
Philadelphia
Dusty
became the first. They became like the first state or something to lose 2 national championships in the same night.
Philadelphia is a city.
Wait, they
That's what I
lost
meant.
what?
Yeah. They lost MLS. Benny? Did you watch? Did you watch MLS Cup?
I saw the highlights though.
It was an awesome game, and I felt so bad for Philly. If anyone listening to this is a Philadelphia Union fan somehow, just DM us. We'll send you something. But I wanted the Union to win that game, and didn't lose sleep off of it. But what a game that was! And yeah, tough day to be a Philly fan in general. You usually won't find me feeling sorry for fans of the city of brotherly love, but.
Wait, that was in the ML. I mean, I think most people know how the baseball series ended. MLS Cup. That was Philly was up with like 2 minutes left, right? And LA scored a goal.
And
so it was like
LA was down to 10 men.
Oh, I didn't know
a red
that.
card. Their keeper got a red card, so their backup keeper came in, and
Right.
then Philly scored. They're down to 10 men, but their backup keeper is a penalty specialist. Philly scores a penalty kick saving specialist, and then Gareth Bale, like the one meaningful touch he's taken since he's gotten to LA,
Yeah.
a precursor for him breaking the hearts of the U.S. in 2 weeks at the World Cup.
I know.
Gareth Bale ties it, and then this backup keeper McCarthy makes every single save in the PK shootout, and they win in PKs.
That's Heartbreak City, man.
Heartbreak City. Good game though. Fun sports weekend apart from our result, but yeah, Niners didn't lose. Vikings won.
Yeah,
Man, the
7-1.
Vikings pulled that out.
I've decided to start having fun with this team and stop complaining.
Yeah,
Well, I was keeping up on
Thank
Red
you.
Zone today, and like I
It
saw
was wild. It was a crazy
I saw
game.
them take the lead like 17-14 with like a minute left or something. And
Nah,
I'm
it
like,
was-
well, they kicked the field goal. I saw the field goal go through, and then I was like, okay, cool. I think they're going to pull this one out. And then I saw it come back around, and they kicked another field goal, and I was like,
Well,
what?
they
I for whatever reason, that was the same kick, but it ended up
It was
being
different.
Yeah,
They
an
kicked-
actual game winner.
They kicked the field goal to go up with like 3 minutes left or something.
Yeah.
But one of the Washington Commanders, Randy Moss called them the Washington Commodores by accident on ESPN
Nice.
Countdown today, and I think that's just a better name for sure. But anyway, I wish I knew the name of a Commodore song off the top of my head. It's 5 seconds. I do know that. Sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. My excuse is I don't want to give JP more work to do. But so a dude on the Commanders/Commodores/Washington football team, just like drilled our long snapper, like not a weird, just dumb move, like not even really trying to block it, which you can't touch the long snapper on a field goal. So they called personal foul, took the points off the board. We ran 3 more plays, ran the clock off. Washington was out of timeouts, and then we kicked it again with 12 seconds left to win 2017. But we were down 17-7, like with 8 minutes left in the fourth. And then it was just like, shit, let's win the game now. And after playing like ass for 3.5 quarters, we just had 3 or 4 big plays. And now we have won 6 consecutive 1-score games.
Wow.
Which is ridiculous.
I have a question for you. Do you feel like you can celebrate Kirk Cousins now?
Yes.
Wow. You've moved on from
Hey,
his
I'm
anti-vaccine ways. You just saw him with shirtless and wearing all these chains.
Well,
and
he's been.
now you love him.
He's been. Hey, I feel like he's winning you over too with that behavior. If I have to say so myself. I still don't love the anti-vax shit, but that has calmed down a little bit. I still, if you want to ask me, this team as constructed, can it win a Super Bowl paying Kirk Cousins what they're paying? And I have to say yes or no. I'm going to say no. I don't think they can, but they keep winning. The team seems to like each other, which is a nice change of pace from the last couple of years under Zimmer, where it seemed like no one wanted to have any fun whatsoever. So yeah, like, I don't know. And I have Kirk in both fantasy leagues that I play in, and he's like, he's like the number 9 or 10 fantasy quarterback, which isn't great, but that's just kind of
10-team league.
my other league's a 12-team league, which still 10 teams need to start a quarterback, and I'm doing okay in that league that I'm starting Kirk in our league. Like, it's just, he is that guy. Like, he's going to finish around 10 to 14 in the NFL, and his numbers aren't going to be awful. But I mean, if they keep winning games, like, that's all I give a shit about.
Man, the Beavs could use him.
Right. Yeah.
I know.
Oh, man.
If we could just, just take that exact template and put it into the quarterback position. Like, that's all that's needed. Just solid, dorky, competitive quarterback play.
I would take any personality at this point. Just someone that can throw a tight spiral.
Oh,
am I right?
Well, that is right.
Gotta do beers.
We do gotta do beers. I was like, none of us can throw a tight spiral, but we can pour a tight spiral of beer into our mouths, probably.
Definitely.
Right as Benny actually almost got to see this. He signed onto the Zoom just a second too late, but I opened my can of beer and it exploded all over. And I'm just gonna go first because I got this beer because this reflected more my mood technically Saturday morning, but Saturday morning immediately after the game ended. So the game with the stoppage and power outage and everything, the game ended about 1:30-ish a.m. Central Time. And I'm going to bring this up now so that I don't zero in on it later. But the delay of game after the false start in the fourth quarter had me furious.
I was thinking of you when that happened.
I was so mad. I feel like every Beaver,
I could tell.
Please don't read my texts. I don't think I said anything that outlandish. Mainly just, hey, this happened in a game earlier this year. And it seems to be happening again.
If there's one person that hates pre-snap penalties on their team more than you, I've not met that person or anyone close to that, Terry.
They don't exist.
No, they don't.
Someone in my apartment for sure had a conversation with a friend or a family member. Someone moved in very recently to my floor, and I'm sure it was just like, yeah, it seems to be fine, but someone like really late on Friday night was just screaming pre-snap unforced errors over and over again. So in honor of that feeling, I am drinking a Surly Furious. And I just got this case today after the Vikings game, put it in the fridge, got home, changed, did some laundry, went to dinner with some friends, came home, got ready for this podcast, pulled out the beer, getting ready to start, opened it, and it exploded. So I think this beer was also mad about the pre-snap unforced error. Back to back. I'm not mad. I woke up and I was more just sad boy autumn on Saturday morning proper, but figured, hey, Surly Furious. It's a good beer. It's a good IPA. And it is aptly named for how I felt in the closing moments of Oregon State's football game on Friday night, November 4th, 2022 at Husky Stadium.
Nice. I like that.
And because I talk shit, I got what I deserved, but the beer exploding all over me.
Karma.
So it's even. I don't have to feel bad anymore.
No. The universe will always get you back.
Exactly.
Next. Yeah.
So I have little squeezy, juicy, pale, by the shoots, blah, 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 blah. But I have it for a reason. Here's the reason. In 2016, the Shoots opened up their East Coast brewing operation. Do you know where they opened that up, you guys?
East Coast. Boston?
No, in Roanoke, Virginia, which is named after the colony of Roanoke, which is pertinent as they disappeared just like our offense did after the first quarter. So cheers to the Shoots. Cheers to Gary Fish.
You know the word pertinent, but you don't know autumnal? What the fuck?
I know autumnal. I just have trouble saying it. I just can't say it.
Honestly, I thought that this like research storytelling was going to go so much deeper. Like just through all these twists and turns, and it just abruptly ended.
Disappeared.
Ended just like our offense did. No, I have much love for our offense. I'm just playing.
Was the original colony of Roanoke blown away by severe winds?
Some say.
Oh.
It's a legend passed down by the ages. Oh, little Squeezy. I like it.
Yeah.
I used to smoke pot with Little Squeezy.
Oh yeah, good guy.
Had
I'll
to
be
bring
right
that.
back.
It's been a while since we had that. I said pot and Benny has to leave. I wonder why. Well, while Benny is gone getting whatever he's getting, JP, what succulent suds are keeping you company this evening?
Well, you saw I was at Great Notion this week.
Yes,
And
usually.
Shout out Great Notion because they closed their kitchen and then now rent it out to Matt's Barbecue Tacos.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, the infamous Matt's Barbecue also has a very famous Matt's Barbecue Tacos cart in Southeast. And now they've opened a permanent, somewhat brick and mortar establishment from within Great Notion on Alberta. So now you can go and enjoy some incredible beers along with some amazing barbecue tacos. And I had to go check it out. I got very autumnal while I was there. I had a beer that on Untapped, its first flavor profile choice was autumnal. And I thought,
yes, that is hilarious.
That.
It's one of my favorite words. It's just one of my favorite words and my favorite season.
It's only your favorite word because I can't say it.
That is my third favorite thing about it, not my first.
Other than our podcast, it's only the only second other place that I've actually seen it used. So I was quite surprised. It was a good beer. This isn't what I'm drinking, though. I actually got a different beer, brought it home. It's not the first time I've had it, but I wasn't planning on having it tonight, but I felt like I should because it's called Notion of Courage. And I feel like the way that the Beaver Nation is spiraling right now into some dark places after this game Friday night. Someone needs to have some courage to say the things that they need to hear. And that will probably be me. So I needed to give myself a little notion of courage.
It takes a big man to have courage in the face of adversity, and I am that big man.
that is right. The man who just compared to the offense to the Colony that got lost also said we have to stop doing this every time that we lose a game. That will happen from time to time. We were the better team, yes, but I took one look at Oregon State Twitter when I was in line for getting on the light rail and immediattive logged off. The
line looked bad enough. I can't imagine putting yourself through the torment of trying to find any positive tones within Oregon State Twitter.
No.
I'm on the side of Oregon State Twitter. I think we should fire everyone, including us.
All the fans that don't agree with me,
including us. This is the end of the Belligerent Beavs podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
We're still going to do it without Terry, just like we did last time.
Damn it.
We'll even try to talk in his accent.
I wanted 3 seconds committed to the bit while Penny lights up a joint with a giant stick lighter, just making me jealous. I wish I was joining you. I'm on my way to Tacoma right now. One joint in Tacoma sounds like a country song. Anyway, we all have beers in front of us. 6-3. Let's cheers to being 8-3 when we're all in Portland together a couple of weeks from now. How does that sound?
Just like we predicted.
Hell yeah.
Cheers. Except for Penny.
Wait, did both of you guys predict that we'd be 8-3 going into the Civil War?
Yeah, but you predicted we'd be 11-0.
We should be.
But I'm more saying last big prediction. It was after the Utah loss and everyone was feeling down, and we cheers let's be 6-2 at the bye, and we cheers to that, and that's what happened. So now I'm saying let's be 8-3 next time we're all together in person, and then
it will happen.
We'll take that next step together.
Yeah.
Speaking of next steps.
Thinking of next steps before we get more into this football game and on the concept of steps and stepping onto the world stage and stepping on, something like a vault off a curb, a floor, for example. We have more world championship accolades to celebrate. Jade Carey's a world champion again, y'all.
Yes.
Again, Jade Carey takes home the gold in the vault final at the World Gymnastics Championships. I got to share this one bit of information from OSUBeavers.com that just really puts this in perspective for me. But with the performance of Jade getting gold in the vault at this competition, she becomes one of just five U.S. women ever to win Olympic and World Championships individual titles, joining the elite company of Shannon Miller, Nastia Lukin, Shawn Johnson, and Simone Biles.
Damn.
Those four and Jade Carey.
That's amazing.
That's
like
wild
truly amazing
company to be in.
It's because she's incredible.
Yeah.
Right.
She
I
is.
mean, I'd put her name up against them as well. I think this just solidifies it in the eyes of people who weren't paying attention.
I got a little worried this weekend because I saw our homie Amy Sinicola tweet, gymnastics judging doesn't make sense.
I saw that too.
At me. And I was like, I know, show me the blemish. And I was ready to be that demonstrative about it, even though I hadn't watched what had happened that she was reacting to. But I agree with Amy no matter what. What the issue is. I agree with Amy. That's the next shirt. JP, make an I agree with Amy shirt ready by the end of the episode. BelligerentBeavs.com/merch. But for her, for Jade to take home gold in the vault and be like, those are legend shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Biles, Lukin, Johnson, Miller, those are like some of the best gymnasts ever.
As someone who did not watch any gym at all before Jade Carey, those are names that I recognize. And I think that says a lot.
It does say a lot.
I
You're
mean,
right.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Simone Biles is fairly famous.
Yeah, right.
To say the least.
Let's get Simone on the pod. That'd be fucking awesome.
Jade has to be a household name now. If Simone Biles is one of the most decorated athletes for the United States ever, let alone gym. But Jade Carey will be there at that same echelon at some point. And so if you don't know the name and you have not been paying attention, you are missing out. You are totally missing out on one of the most epic careers ever while it's happening. Just want to point out, they won team gold, she won vault gold, and she won floor bronze. So she actually went home from the World Championships with the most highest medal rating. So
way more productive weekend than any of us had.
Yes,
Her neck probably hurt so bad by the time she got home.
Yes.
Holding 3 medals.
Echo everything JP said. And if this is your first time hearing about her, and you're new to gymnastics and Beaver Gym for sure, and you want to get excited, tune in, support the team, and support her. And also, just for your future reference, the name is pronounced Jade Carey.
And she's a Belligerent Beavs Hall of Famer.
She's a Belligerent Beavs Hall of Famer, one of the original Belligerent Beavs Hall of Famers. We're very, very proud. Congratulations, Jade. Just keep racking up that hardware. We're gonna have a hard time keeping track of it, as we always do, because we're dumb, but we're gonna try our best to shine as much light on those accomplishments as possible. So
I want to talk too quickly about, just before we move on, about her perseverance, because the vault was historically like her event, and in Tokyo, not a lot of people remember this because she really wasn't. She was like an alternate. She was flown in late after people were bowing out of the Olympics, and they were there and they decided to not participate. So she kind of flew under the radar. She showed up to do the vault and she tripped. She didn't have a very good vault by any means, and I think that maybe the pressure was just really a lot to take in, especially given the circumstances of how she ended up in Tokyo. Right. And she took 8th in the event. The next day, she won gold on the floor. And that's why a lot of people probably don't really remember anything prior to that, because she burst on the scene, really, with that floor performance. And so for her, and she talked about it on Instagram and Twitter. If you're not following Jade, at Jade A. Carey on Twitter, I think it's just at Jade Carey on Instagram. Give her a follow. But she talked a bit about that, and just saying like it was an incredible feeling for her. It means the world to get back, to have a bit of redemption of sorts, and win gold on the vault. And I think that's a really cool testament to her perseverance. I mean, she's already on the top of the world for gymnastics, and she still has boxes she wants to check. That just shows what kind of competitor she is.
For sure.
100%.
Shout out Jade. Yeah. On the negative side of Oregon State athletics, there is a football game we need to talk about. I don't want to. I'm not going to enjoy it. I'd rather just move on and forget it. But hey, that's not our
It's
job.
therapy.
It's therapy. We have to talk about it. Washington 24, Oregon State 21. 2 Deshaun Fenwick touchdowns and an Easton Mascarenas pick 6 is all the points that the Beavs could muster on a very blustery night in Seattle. The first game, as a team ranked by the College Football Playoff Committee, feels like a big opportunity lost. Still a ways to go. Lots of opportunity this season to really make this season a special one. But dropped a heartbreaker 24-21 to the Dogs and Michael Penix Jr. I'm going to give each of us sort of a chance to sort of reflect and marinate on it. But JP, I want to sort of hear from you. I was watching the game at a bar without audio, and Benny was at the game itself. So I kind of feel like you watching with sound you had probably got the most context sort of to go off on. But yeah, so just now that we've had a couple days, it was a Friday night game, our first Friday night game of the season. So we did get a full day to reflect on this without podcasting. We're recording this on Sunday night, November 6th, FYI. So JP, just the thoughts off of the top of your head on this loss. What are you thinking?
First, the screen time that Penix Jr. got and the storytelling that he received from the ESPN crew was nauseating. I mean, it was like nonstop obsession with him. And look, the guy's a very skilled quarterback, but like it wasn't like he was playing dominantly for 3 quarters. But yeah, he still got that royal treatment from ESPN, and you could tell maybe these guys they prepared a storyline and a narrative for the game. It didn't go to how they had prepared, and they still just leaned into it a bit. And it's like, can we be a little more dynamic, please, and like actually call the game as it's unfolding?
Right.
So just to be a little nitpicky, that was very annoying. And then of course, having that build up all game and then just have him finally kind of put it all together in the fourth quarter really wasn't.
And I haven't seen this on Twitter yet, but I've just seen some reactions. And I don't think we need to dunk on the broadcast team for just be like bowing down to Penix the whole night. But wasn't the Penix praise like at its ultimate level right before he threw the pick 6?
Yes, they said well, his throw is like butter, and it was
it's like a hot knife through butter.
I immediately picked off.
Hot knife through butter right in between the 5 and 5 of Easton's jersey.
I was watching the highlights of that, and they're literally still finishing the sentence as he has the ball running towards the end zone.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Like they just were like, they had a script and they were like, we don't know what else to say. So just
the color analyst was Andre Ware, who's a great college football quarterback. So I guess, you love your quarterbacks. Between Penix and Gulbranson, you're going to probably talk about Penix, whatever. But they also should have known, like, this wasn't a mystery. It's not like they showed up to the stadium and was like, oh my God, it's windy. Like the forecast, it was like the Saturday before, everyone was like, there's no way that there is good weather for this game in Seattle. So I don't know. Washington has good edge rushers too. Maybe focus on the D line of both teams. I don't know.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna go in order here. You've got it in the notes, like takeaways, concerns, silver linings, and so I think my biggest takeaways, I'm gonna try to keep them positive. And so
for sure,
first and foremost, I thought that Fenwick looked great.
He did.
He looked healthy
100%.
for the first time.
He looked fresh, yeah.
He looked a lot like last season. There were times when he'd carry the ball, and if I didn't catch which number was running with the ball, I had just presumed it was BJ. Because the running styles were like, I mean, the success of their carries were almost equivalent. BJ got the bulk of the carries, but like there was very few times where Fenwick looked frail and like couldn't get beyond the line of scrimmage, which happened quite frequently a lot to open this season. But he looked like the Fenwick of old yesterday. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get more touches, but then again, I'm not, because Damian also looked incredible.
Yep.
I think he only had one rush for loss, and he just got swallowed up at the line. He also, I think, slipped a bit, and like it happens that people were slipping all over the field in the first half. But I think the running game still looked great. I don't think we could take anything away from that. The defense for 3 quarters looked great, and whether the wind was a factor or not, like they played to their strengths, and it kept us in the lead for all of the game except for the final 8 seconds. So, or at least not behind. So those two things I think were big for me that we could build on and we can lean on. That stuff doesn't go away. When it comes to my concerns, still on the defensive side, but I don't think it's really on execution. But I do think that I was shocked, maybe not as extreme, but just surprised, especially with our fourth quarter third down defense that just seemed to disappear. And that really hasn't been something that I've seen as a red flag thus far this season, that we just can't get stops on third and long. It happens, and I think for every program that happens, you give people a lot of field, they're gonna, and they have to make a play. A lot, it's a 50-50 toss up sometimes, and we just kept getting burned over and over again. And I just hope that isn't a trend going forward that's been exposed by UW now. How do you get the long plays when you really need them? That we can a playbook for the remaining 3 conference games. So that was a bit of concern for me. I think there's gonna be a lot of things people talk about on the coaching side, but I'm gonna still say that the red zone offense is very concerning. I didn't have a problem going for it on fourth down that first drive, or the first fourth down that drive, because look, we go up 14-0 on the road, and I mean that could essentially be pulling the plug on UW, right?
Yep.
That could have been just a death blow. And if we didn't get it, we're still up a touchdown. That normally teams against UW are not up to open games, because UW scores on the opening drive for every single game so far this year until this Friday. So I had no problem going for it, but some of the later play calls just felt, whether it was fourth down or not, they just felt discombobulated. There was no continuity to the play calling, especially in the red zone. And when we were struggling from so many facets, whether we just couldn't kick the ball because of the winds, or throw the ball because of the winds, or be accurate on even some short throws, something had to be written up, schemed up, and we just weren't doing it. And I really do think that it just showed that the offense and Lindgren weren't on the same page, and the environment. None of it was on the same page, but it's been a trend, and that's why it's still a concern for me going forward.
My only issue, and I agree with you on the fourth down, going for it. If you're up 14-0, you're probably going to win. Also, if you go to the red zone 4 times and end up with, we'll end up with 14 points as we did, you're going to lose. So it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing, but I think, and Benny, you can correct me here, because the wind of the stadium just on TV, it looked like it was just a fucking wind tunnel. It was swirling, couldn't figure it out. But I saw some stuff on Twitter about kicking, when you're kicking towards the lake, that's when the wind it's at least more favorable. That's when it was a very short kick, obviously, but that was Washington's game-winning field goal. And that was the end that we were going to on that second drive. So I know I'm the guy who always wants to kick and always wants to punt and is the conservative old man of this podcast. But I felt like going towards the lake, it was kicking in the wind was bad, but also we were on the 5-yard line when Coletto got stopped.
Yeah.
I thought that is still a high percentage kick, and you make it a 2-possession game right away and make Washington chase. That was the only time, and I'm not going to feed the shit on Lindgren train, because I actually thought he made some great calls later with some questionable ones. Obviously, it was an up and down performance, but that was the one where I'm like, I feel like Hayes would make this kick right here.
Right. I think the big thing with the wind is that it was inconsistent on multiple levels. Number one being it seemed like there were moments where it was just super calm, and then a huge gust out of nowhere would slap the stadium. But it felt like it was coming from all directions too. There was wind that was blowing in my face. There was wind that was blowing at my back. So I don't know. I mean, it was Hayes' first game back in a really long time. I don't know if you want to put him in that position, but that end of the stadium is a little bit calmer than the one that's open.
The reason I wanted him to kick was because you can kind of even test the wind a little bit there. And it's you miss a field goal in the first quarter, it's not backbreaking.
So I got to the stadium an hour and a half early, and when they were kicking, like pregame
in warm-ups.
The balls were going all over the place, like into the stands, like out the sideline, not out the back of the end zone. It was crazy.
This is such an easy thing to second guess. So like I don't have an issue with it. It was frustrating that the 2 times we made that decision, it was and I know the play before Coletto slipped and missed a block. He makes 100% of the time any other time. And then the one, I believe it was in the second quarter when Gulbranson just sort of sky mauled the ball over Martinez. Yeah. And so, it's the red zone play calling. It didn't work. So obviously I think that's the biggest concern for everyone. But it was also a night where you don't have the same confidence in the kicking game. So you are more one-dimensional, and from UW standpoint, they're probably like, I'm guessing they're going to do this, and you guess right as a defense, and you can make it look like a pretty silly play call.
Can I just, to the people that are really on the, like, legitimately on the Fire Lindgren train right now?
Do we want to dive into the Fire Lindgren?
I just want to make you brought 2 things up that I just want to make sure that people understand. Is number one, it was 3rd and 2 when Coletto slipped, and if Coletto doesn't slip, he picks up the block that hits Martinez in the backfield. I think Martinez has a first down. Then it's 1st and goal from the 2-yard line, right? And I think with Coletto, there's a fairly strong chance we punch that in. And so the play call there, I think you can argue was right. Lindgren put them in the position to get the first down. It was the execution that faulted. Same thing with the sky mail ball to Martinez. He was open. And Gulbranson just didn't execute. So you can't blame Lindgren for these things. Lindgren's calls should have had us up 21-0.
Right.
Yeah.
Point blank.
And also, don't forget too, there was the play. What was it? Was it after? It was in between the 2 4th down attempts, but if I'm recalling correctly, but it was the Martinez blown dead play that he had a wide open hole and was headed for the end zone, to be honest.
They didn't call that dead until he had gone through the linebackers. Like, exactly. It was the safety in him. Yep.
And I don't know if you guys saw this from Daschle. They talked to Jonathan Smith about that. And it was the Pac-12 refs were on full display on national TV on Friday. Just like dumb stuff, right? Like everyone gave them crap about saying it was the end of the first half after the first quarter was over. There was other things like saying penalties on people who, like, numbers that didn't exist on the Oregon State roster, maybe, at least on the field. But that one blown dead play looked amazing and was executed amazing and would have definitely resulted in 6 for 6. But they talked to Jonathan Smith about it afterwards, and supposedly it was blown dead by the sideline official behind Jonathan Smith. So Jonathan Smith was going to call timeout. He was thinking about it, so he ran down to the referee just in case. But the ball was snapped before he even got there, and so he didn't even actually call timeout. But the sideline official behind him just assumed that's what he was doing and called it for him. So no timeout was called, which they rightfully said. But then, like, the result of the play, didn't matter because of the Pac-12 officials being a little too whistle happy.
I mean, if you think about it, so like that, the weather conditions and the way Washington runs their offense was not going to ever end up in Washington being able to score a lot of points in a short amount of time. And so at any point, if you go up 21-0 and your offense is a grinded out, run it offense, and their offense is a throw, and we have the best secondary in the Pac-12, that game's over. 21-0, there's no way Washington's coming back. You cannot convince me that Washington's coming back from 21-0 in those conditions. And we had so many opportunities to get there. And the fact that one of the most golden ones was fucked up by the refs, I mean, that would have put us up 14-0, but still, like, it's just like, you can't, I get it, Pac-12 officiating, it's funny because they're so bad, but like, that is inexcusable, and that ref should not be allowed to ref a game for the rest of the year.
Yep. One thing I want to point out from my silver lining is really this, and it's outside of the Utah game, which was just a total disaster. The USC and UW losses are by far the most frustrating, heartbreaking as a fan, especially, and I can only imagine the players and coaches feel even more immensely upset about the results. But you have to take that away and say USC is one of the top programs in the country. Yes, we had them at home. Historically, we've performed fairly well against them at home in recent years. And we did what we were supposed to do almost to the fullest extent to win that game. But we lost it at the last few seconds. We go on the road against UW, who is essentially ranked now, right? Like they're going to be.
Yeah. And they should have been ranked in this game.
They should have been ranked before.
We're on the road. Disrespected. They've had one bad game all year.
Yeah, yep. We're on the road against. They're probably one of the top offenses in the Pac-12. So, it was a tough game also. And we led the whole game until the final few seconds, until it was tied at 11 minutes left. But then we weren't down until there's 8 seconds to go. And to me, that is a silver lining. And I don't want to say hey, we fought hard, good on us.
We're accepting mediocrity, JP.
No, I'm not, because I feel like I would rather it be this way than be blown out, because this is progress for our program.
Of course.
This is progress for our program. And these are not gimme games. And from the beginning of the season, and we talked about this early in the episode, both Terry and I predicted that we would be right here going into the Cal game. We would be 6-3. And no one would have said, fuck that, if we said that to them before the first game against Boise State. It's different path, same result. We're 6-3. This program is still building. I think it's glaring that we need to establish a real stronghold quarterback that sticks, that's here for years, develops through this system, and gets better every year, and has those opportunities to have the growing pains, make the mistakes, but also can lead the team and has that ability. And I think Aiden Childs can do that. I'm not trying to just put it all on him, and I'm not saying that the quarterback can't do it. But look, we get that guy, and it's a whole different story right now. It is a completely different story.
And this was something I was trying to the point I was trying to make in the piece I wrote for the dive this week, and I got it up too late just because shit got away from me this week. But us being 6-2 at Washington, also 6-2, a game with Washington, a regional rival on the road in Seattle. That game that took place on Friday with the stakes as high as they were for both teams isn't really a game that's taken place ever. And whether the stakes or the pressure was there from the fan base or external media, whatever, that is probably the biggest game Smith has coached in for Oregon State as head coach. So I'm frustrated. I'm fucking furious when that delay of game happens, as we make fun of me for being the one who, of course, I'm the one who's more mad about that. But of course, everyone was mad about that. But also this was, and I don't want to be I want to be conscious of the accepting mediocrity thing, even though that's ridiculous. But because the chance to win this game was there, and I put it more on the coaches and the players. We just didn't seize enough opportunities, as you were mentioning, Benny, to win it. But it's also this game with this level of stakes hasn't happened in a really long time. And it's the first time it's happened for Smith in this case, with the team that won the game has an outside shot of winning the conference, and Washington ended up getting it. But that's what was at stake on Friday night.
Well, I really I hate to play, what ifs, but if we're being honest here, Chance Nolan was not looking very good before he got hurt, and Ben Gulbranson, it was in conditions, but he didn't look very good either. They're both struggle for their own reasons. But Gulbranson had to hit some of the ones that he just flat out missed, right? And so the way that Chance played against USC too, it's if we had even a middle of the road quarterback in the Pac-12, it feels like we could be 8-1 right now, right? And that's, I think, the really frustrating part is at 21 positions, mental
gymnastics with that.
I know, right? But it's at 21 positions, we're really good. And that one position, it is really frustrating to see it struggle so much, because I think that's what happened to our offense. It wasn't that our offense, got worse, or that the play calls got worse. It's that we were so one-dimensional. And I think once Gulbranson showed that off a little bit on some of his passes that were really bad, then Washington's like, oh, we can just play super aggressive.
Right. I think any neutral observer would come to the conclusion that, this was a close game between two good teams in 40 plus mile an hour winds, and the team with the more experienced quarterback made plays at the end and came away with the victory. Right. I do want to segue into, you can call this a faint praise for Lindgren, whatever, what the Lindgren naysayers or the people calling for his head. I was impressed with him. Just real quick, the Fenwick second touchdown when it was Coletto in the shotgun with Fenwick to his left, and then they just sidestepped, and the direct snap went to Fenwick with Coletto lead block. Awesome fucking play. Yeah, and Fenwick looked great. That's the type of play call that you want to see. Going into this game, and we didn't have an episode during the bye week, so we hadn't talked about this, but I started this, I randomly thought, I was like, we never try to get our running backs involved in the passing game. And I've never really, part of it, I think, has to be with Trey Lowe being out, because Trey Lowe is that great receiver out of the backfield. But I hadn't even seen it much. And in this game, there was the fourth down miss to Damian. There was another miss that Gulbranson had, and I don't want it to seem like we're piling on Gulbranson. This was a much harder throw. There was Griffin goes on a wheel route and is 30 yards downfield, and he beat his man and he's open, and the ball just ends up being 6 yards overthrown, and I'm sure the wind just carried it. But so I think there was elements of this game where Lindgren was like, let's get Damian and Jam. Fenwick might have great hands. I don't know. I don't think I've seen us throw to him before. Right. But Jam certainly profiles as a running back who would be good out of the backfield. And I know Damian is young, and you want to be careful with how much you give a true freshman, even one as massively talented as Damian, to handle in their first year. But I think Lindgren was like, let's get these guys involved in the passing game. And especially with a young quarterback, a backup quarterback coming in because your starter out of camp is out with an injury. I feel like, you get those check down, or just even designed dump offs is a good way to build rhythm. And I think the intention was there for that game, for this last game, but we just weren't able to get in the rhythm. And the throw to Jam, it was early. I think it was in the third quarter, but man, it was close. And I feel like I can't wait to see if this is something that Lindgren tries to work in the offense in more, hopefully more adaptable conditions when we host Cal next week. Right. Yeah. It was interesting because Washington's secondary, I don't think that they're the worst in the Pac-12, but they're certainly down there, right? With respect, they're not great. Yeah, they're not very good. And our receivers our receivers burned them on a number of routes. The Griffin one, and then was it Lindsey or Harrison, where it was the big lame duck throw, right? The one that was just super wobbly. Gould. That was Gould. That one was Gould. Was it Gould? Oh, so he for sure would have been gone. But,
but that ball got just swatted by the wind.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But what I'm saying is our receivers, they were absolutely tearing up their secondary. So that I think in itself is a good sign too. Yeah. They won that matchup completely. Right. And a lot of people were, the reason I had that thought was because I saw so many people on Twitter being like, where are the quick passes to the tight ends? Where are the quick passes to Velling and Overman, which the Velling Overman fan club, I believe, started with me. And I'm happy to keep carrying that flag, but I'd rather see, if I have my choice between Velling, Overman, Griffin, Martinez, to have the ball in their hands with a head of steam about 2 yards up from the line of scrimmage, I'm gonna pick Griffin and Martinez. Yeah. Exactly. So I just thought it was interesting that to get Gulbranson in a rhythm, even in the previous games, that the play call passing plays to the running backs just hasn't really been in it. And I haven't heard much on Trey Lowe's status. I'm at this point, I'm not really expecting good news. I hope for good news, and I
think in the broadcast they said he was active.
Close. Oh, he was active.
Oh, okay. Really?
I didn't see that reported anywhere before then, but they mentioned that on ESPN, which take that how you like.
Right. I don't know. Did they say his running was like a hot knife through butter before he just didn't play in the game at all? But yeah, so I don't have much else to offer in the way we played on Friday, other than just I'm fucking sad because it was there.
Well,
and
the team's close. That's
the team's so
what makes it
close,
sad.
And Dashel wrote this in his piece today, and it's like it's so much better to be here where this is what we're reacting to, and we're so sad that we're not 7-2 and moving up rankings and really get it, like letting those sugar plums dance in our head. I saw fucking Christmas decorations going up today, so that's the the comparisons are popping. It's holiday season, I guess. It shouldn't be. It's way too early. But like our imaginations are running wild in a way that they haven't. And 5 years ago, this was impossible. That doesn't mean you're accepting mediocrity to not want to fire all of the coaches after losing by 3 points at Washington. But it's cool to be pissed and it's cool to be sad. And I was a good amount of both Friday and Saturday, and even today and right now, I'm still fucking sad.
Well, it was weird having the Friday game, to be honest, because when I went to bed that night, I was like, well, I'll go watch some NFL tomorrow. And then I woke up Saturday like, what day is it? I was so confused.
When I got it out of my head, it wasn't actually like, it was a nice little Saturday. I kind of just watched college football all day without a rooting interest.
I couldn't even bring myself to watch college football on Saturday. I just got shit done around the house.
The Bama LSU game was fantastic. You should have watched it.
So here's what my silver lining is, and it's similar to what you just said, Terry, but I do think every single year under Jonathan Smith, and we've said it a bunch, but we can't say it enough, that Jonathan Smith was dealt probably the worst program that the Pac-12 has seen in the last 20 years.
Sure.
15 years. Right? Like the state of where Oregon, maybe. Like the state of where Oregon State was at was pretty abysmal. And they've gotten better every single year. And last year was a huge step, bowl eligibility. And I think everyone was pretty happy with where he was able to get them in that short amount of time. And this year, like, we're significantly better than we were last year. And we're getting to the point right now where we can say things like, oh, we're a position away from being for sure a legitimate contender in the conference. Right. I mean, for sure, like we're one position away from being a team that you could put reasonable expectations on making the Pac-12 championship game. And that's crazy. I mean, that is unbelievable that he's been able to do that in the short amount of time that he has. And I'm not going to believe that anything is going to change in us getting better year after year until it happens. I think, Aiden Childs coming in next year, that is spicy and interesting. And I'm very excited about it. But
perfect word choice for that.
But I do think that it's important to take pause and take a step back and look at the situation we're in. Yeah, we were the better team against Washington. And even more than that, our sort of bugaboo in the last 5 years and really in the last 15 years has been road games. And we played really well in a road game in a hostile environment. And so yeah, it did suck, but we are in a really good spot right now. We really are.
We'll know that we take that next step too if what we cheers to at the top of the episode comes to fruition and we're 8-3 when we're all together in Portland Thanksgiving week, because we have gotten road wins this year. We have taken care of business. We didn't get to the brink of bowl eligibility and then lose 3 games that we should have won. So if there's if Smith takes care of business, we're almost certainly going to be favored we're for sure going to be favored at home against Cal next week. And we should be favored we're already at 13.5. Mm-hmm. And we should be favored against the Sun Devils in the desert, even though weird shit happens in the desert. And you go 8-3, that's the better than you could have hoped for 5 years ago. And I don't even want to keep bringing it back to 5 years ago, but, and I wrote this week too, was we were thinking about this game and the stakes. And it was almost 5 years to the day when he who must not be named, but I'll say his fucking name, Gary Anderson, walked out the door with the program in shambles and said it doesn't matter who they hire. So I just
ruined everything.
I just want us to keep the perspective.
No one's fixing my mistake.
That doesn't mean loser mentality. It doesn't mean accepting mediocrity. We can be pissed. Smith made mistakes in this game, and he'd probably be the first one to tell you that. But it's just a thing that happens. And I want to shout out a few more groups and positions that played well. I think a lot of us were really worried about the offensive line losing Marco Brewer for the season, which is a significant loss. But I thought the whole unit was great. I couldn't tell. It seemed like they moved guys around a little bit. Marco's a fantastic player, but I knew that Henley Bloomfield was going to be the first man stepping in and taking some of his snaps, and he's played a lot of football for this team. I thought they were great. We didn't sack Penix, but I thought our pressure was pretty good. I think Riley Sharp played a great game. I think James Rawls played a really great game. He got hurt late, but looked to be okay. So I hope he is. I hope as we hear reports on practice this week, I hope that it's a pretty clean bill of health. Obviously, Easton Mascarenas Arnold with the pick 6 had a great game, but I thought he was great away from that as well. And Omar Spate seemed to be everywhere. So it was a great showing from the defense and the secondary. I'm ready to say it's the best secondary in the nation. And just to go into sort of my last concern, JP spoke to this a little bit. It kind of felt like we were playing prevent when we let Washington march down the field late. And I don't know what those calls were. I'm not smart enough to just look at the way we line up and know exactly what we're doing, but it looked like we had sort of called off the aggressiveness, whatever. Losher had some great punts and we shouted out Losher on the Twitter as well. Punters are people too, but it seemed like we're like, oh, they're not going to march 95 yards. But then they did. And it seemed like we didn't have sort of that kind of swagger. And the refs were weird. I'm not blaming the refs. It was a crew that seemed like called a couple phantom whistles. And anytime there was a penalty, it seemed like they talked about it for 3.5 minutes. So I think this went both sides too. Like Washington had some big flags that helped us as well. So I'm not blaming the refs for this loss. But it
is frustrating though to watch a game and have it be
because I would say the refs
so much by
the refs fucked up the rhythm. And at times that affected both teams. But they also didn't seem like they were throwing flags for PI every other player or whatever. So it felt like,
they did let him play a little bit.
I'd rather have Wright and Austin, guys who have, gotten a lot of PIs called on them in their day. Like I'd rather them sort of push that envelope and be handsier than maybe you think you need to. And see what you can get away with in games, and just try and be physical and make those plays. But it just kind of seemed like Bray or Smith, it could have been the call. It seemed like we were just sitting back in prevent and hoping that they weren't going to drive 95 yards and win the game, because we aren't a defense that usually allows that. But that's what ended up happening. So
Before we move on, I have one more silver lining that I was thinking about tonight, and I want to see what you guys think. But
hit me with it.
Did either of you watch Sunday Night Football
tonight?
Yep.
Until we started potting, I was watching it. Yeah.
Every time I watched Derrick Henry run, I thought, I've seen this guy run recently, and it finally hit me after one of the runs where he fell forward after for just 7 yards, but he made it look so easy. And there's a lot of Derrick Henry and Damian Martinez.
I love it.
Can see it.
I love it.
And it's not just the hair or like the size, but the way that they run so easily for how much they could bruise a defender when and truck through them and fight for those extra yards, and then not just fight for those extra yards as they're going down, but fight for those extra yards when a play looks like it's getting swallowed up. And I just want to say, Damian played an incredible game. I think, given the circumstances where they were loading the box, they knew we weren't going to throw because we couldn't throw, whether it was the personnel or the environment. There was that one play. I'm sure you guys caught it, but there was a one play where it looked like he was gonna he's dead in the water, like a yard behind the line of scrimmage, and somehow he lowered his body to the point where he was almost parallel to the ground and squeezed past the defense and just popped back up out of nowhere and kept running. So I just want to say, I was so impressed with that. He's amazing. I can't wait to see him get more touches. But also, when I was trying to, I've never really thought about NFL comps. We've talked about Steven Jackson because that's a really easy one, I think, as a Beaver fan.
Right.
But when you're thinking about current NFL players, there aren't a ton of bruising backs like that. And Derrick Henry, just like watching him tonight, it felt like I was watching some replays from Friday
So there
night.
you have it, Beaver fam. JP Bertram officially comparing Damian Martinez to the multiple-time NFL rushing champ and 2015 Heisman winner, Derrick Henry. So does Damian win the Heisman in 2023 or 2024?
Both.
I love it. This is why I pod with you.
When I was on the light rail back home, I was next to this Washington fan. And this Washington fan was so he's talking shit the whole way down the line and until we got onto the actual train. And when we got onto the train, he did acknowledge, number one, that Oregon State was the better team, but he could not stop talking about number 6, right? He was talking about Damian and just he was like, he was a beast. I've never seen a back like that.
Fucking good.
The guy who
at Oregon State, Washington should have got him.
the guy who I was sitting next to, he was like, oh yeah, number 6, he's really good, man. He's what, junior, senior? And I was like, no, man, true freshman.
Yeah.
And his jaw just about hit the ground. Like we see him week in, week out. And I think we're still very, very impressed. But like to see a fan base that has not really even heard of him, he certainly was turning eyes at up in Seattle.
Right. I was messing with the football gods a little bit. I was watching the game here in Minneapolis at the bar with a handful of friends, but two specific friends, Baba Ganoush and my man KT, both University of Washington alums. Proud University of Washington alums. And every single time Damian did anything, I'd yell, Belligerent Beavs Athlete, Damian Martinez. And they were, at maybe the first time they were like, okay, that's cute. Your little podcast has a partnership. And then as Damian kept cooking, it was like, all right, you need to shut the fuck up.
We don't want to tell everyone that you heard it here first, but I mean,
kind of did.
He was the only recruit that we sought out to bring to our birthday party or holiday party, whatever that was. I think it was our holiday party. It was back in December.
It was our holiday party.
Yeah.
And I think there were a couple of the recruits there, but Damian got on the mic on that Twitter Spaces and just said, happy to be here. One of the best days of my life. And it's been a great partnership ever since. I think that closes the door on football pretty well. We do need to talk about this Saturday. So let's do some predictions real quick, and then we'll talk a little basketball and soccer. We've got Cal, the Golden Bears, fresh off I'd say actually a pretty solid performance of their own this weekend. And they actually played Washington pretty good the week before. So I don't think we can take this shit for granted. But at the end of the day, I do think the Beavs cover the 13.5 that Benny brought up earlier. My official prediction is Oregon State 34 and Cal 16. That game will be 6 p.m. Pacific time on Pac-12 Network, I believe.
Yes.
Saw a couple conflicting times, but I believe 6 p.m. Pacific time, Pac-12 Network.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I got 34-16. JP, how about you?
So, again, I like to look back at my notes, and for whatever reason, these still feel very
stupid bear.
Applicable.
Golden grams are overrated.
but I said back in the friendly confines of Reser Stadium, which probably would feel that way for the team and maybe the fans who visited on the road. Everything clicks for the Beavs offensively, was what I had predicted. And then I said a very complete game from Nolan, along with a balanced distribution for the receiving core. I said Damian Martinez has 2 touchdowns, and the Beavs win the first official full WEHAGE of the season. And I'm going to stick with this 42-14.
I'd love a full WEHAGE.
Yeah.
It's what we need.
Yeah.
It is what we need.
You can get those at massage parlors in Thailand. You just go in and ask for the full WEHAGE.
Yeah.
42-14. Don't know what you mean.
We do not officially endorse that.
What?
Yeah. What do you think a full WEHAGE is?
Yeah, it's a 42-14.
It's a great massage.
It's a 40 is okay. This
this may be a first, guys.
We interrupt this program because the Belligerent Beavs has been canceled.
No, I'm worried. What is the first? You're going to say we were going to lose.
The first.
I don't think we're going to lose. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say 28-24. I think it's close. I think it's a close fucking game. Dude, Cal's look good the last couple of weeks. They almost beat USC. I mean, not really, but like kind of. They're much closer than what people thought.
They looked like a college football team that definitely exists when they played USC last week.
And the week before, or I guess 2 weeks before.
It was the week before against Washington.
They looked well, it wasn't the week before because Washington had a bye last week, but
whatever.
Yeah, so I think that Cal's good. I think but I do think that we'll be prepared for it. We're gonna come pissed off. And I would be shocked if we don't come away with the win and go down to Phoenix at 7-3.
For sure. You heard it here. 3 wins. Shocking positive predictions from the Babes. But before Oregon State football plays Cal, we've got some basketball happening, y'all. We are recording this on Sunday, November 6th, the evening of Sunday, November 6th, late in the evening. So tomorrow night or today or yesterday, whenever you're listening to this, a double header at legendary Gill Coliseum. Oregon State women's basketball opens against Hawaii at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, and the men play Tulsa at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Gonna be a late one, but men's games on Pac-12 Network or Pac-12 Oregon. Oregon State, OSUBeavs.com is doing an official live stream for the women's game. If you are around, you're probably listening to this afterwards. So I don't know if I should say get to Gill, Phil Gill, start a frenzy at Gill Coliseum, go to the next fucking games, whatever. But I'm expecting 2 wins for our beloved basketball teams. But real quick, I feel like we got to talk a little bit of hoops since we're recording this on the eve of college basketball officially starting. And we got 2 games coming up. I'm really excited for a lot of reasons, but JP, give me one thing you're looking forward to for both teams this year.
Am I just talking players?
You're players, player. To anything you're interested in for men's and women's basketball.
So for the women's hoops, since they are tipping off first, I'll start there. But we should keep close eyes on the recruiting class that Scott Rueck has brought in. So Tamir Gardner, of course, Reagan Beers, great name. Both of them were like top 10 in the country. And he ran out the class with a bunch of other really, really great players as well. So in transfers, and I think them joining a team that is now full of some pretty great veterans, and Talia van Olhoffen, of course, leads that group, even though she's still fairly young in basketball sense, especially. They can be very, very interesting, and I think everyone talks like about the men's team being like a wild card. No one's expecting a lot out of them, but they're a young team, and young players have a lot of fight. They feel like they've got a lot to prove, and I think the coaching staff feels that way too. But I do think even more so, you can get the combination of the veteran presence and a very highly touted recruiting class that's the most fun to watch. So keep an eye on the freshmen for the women's team.
I'm really excited to watch an Oregon State women's basketball team that is like unquestionably Talia van Olhoffen's team.
Yes,
because for sure she's been like the biggest scoring threat, I feel like, the last couple of years. But and last year there's a lot of injuries. It was are we pounded into the post with Taylor and Kennedy, and no, there's injuries there, but now both Taylor Jones and Kennedy Brown are gone, and there's a lot of talent on this team. But like Talia is the leader and is the most talented player, and we're gonna go as far as Talia van Olhoffen can carry us. And I think I'm really excited to see how she handles it with going in with a postseason and being like it's your show, it's your show. And she's a very dynamic player, can score at will, and I'm really excited to see what she brings this year.
Yep.
I think for both teams, I'm just looking forward to a fresh start. I think if you go back and listen to what we were saying at the end of basketball season last year, like we were sort of ready for, and I think the teams were sort of ready for the season to be over, right?
Yeah.
It didn't. I think more so with the men's team than with the women's team, but it didn't really feel like everyone necessarily wanted to be there. And so, a young team that, like you said, JP, they're going to be hungry, but they're also, you would hope, want to all be there. And I think that is going to be exciting if that's what we see, a young, scrappy, hungry team that is playing team basketball against Tulsa. I'll be really excited. I think the combination, like you guys both said, with the women's team of veterans and really highly touted freshmen that are coming in, that's going to be an interesting mix, and it'll be especially interesting to see how Ruick is able to sort of mesh that all together.
For sure. On the men's side, I'm really excited about Casey Abekwe, freshman big, who we got. I've been listening to the Payton Years podcast, and I encourage everyone to go listen to the Payton Years. They dropped a new episode today. I haven't listened to that one yet, but they're bullish on other guys too, like Jordan Pope, who I'm really excited about. And I'm not
area.
I don't think it's going to be like it was 3-28 last year, but the year before it was Elite 8. We're going to be closer to the Elite 8 than 3-28, right? Like that's not really what I'm expecting. But like Casey Abekwe definitely feels like a player that we kind of lucked out in getting for a team that's coming off a 3-28 season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do, especially with Chol being healthy for the first time.
That's if
Andela is back healthy too, then we're still a young ass team with a lot of questions, but like we'll have size to really push around other teams and really be aggressive and hungry on the boards, and not let ourselves get sized out of any games. And I feel like that's worth at least 8 to 12 points in most college basketball games. So I feel like there's going to be a lot more close games this year, and just by virtue of the way luck works in sports, more of those games are going to go our way than they did last year when none
just
of
stay
them.
healthy.
Yeah,
right.
So stay healthy, and they're already not healthy with Christian Wright and Justin Rochlin.
Yeah,
which is.
But those guys haven't really. I mean, they transferred in. It wasn't like they were a core part.
We've known for a while.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's just dudes, and it seems like the Italy trip was good to see from those who were on the inside and talked about just sort of the team building that happened. Just getting to see them on the court. And also they had a scrimmage with Lewis and Clark, I believe. Right. And we won by like 2,000 points. And last year they played like Reed or Western. They played somebody and they won by 2. And
that's right.
We may have even talked about this podcast and was like, well, I'm not worried. It's an exhibition. But now it's an exhibition and we won by 67 fucking points. And I'm excited as hell. Exhibitions mean everything.
Who was it? Who was it last year? That we almost lost an exhibition to. Oh man, it was some team out of Salem. It was like Concordia or something.
Was it Concordia?
It might have been No, it was
it was Concordia. Was it Willamette? I don't think it was Willamette.
No.
Oh, they damn it! They don't have the exhibitions on last year. It starts with Portland. We remember when we beat Portland State 73-64.
And that game was a little scary.
November 9th. It was a little scary.
Yeah, we're like, oh, thank God. Thank God we won't have to feel that again.
The next game, super secret producer Skinder was out here in Minneapolis with me. We drove down to Ames for that game at Iowa State. We shot like 20% from the field, lost 60-50. Iowa State basketball fans are fucking awesome. By the way, I know I talked about it on the episode that week, but it was like, if we lose 60-50 in that kind of atmosphere without hitting a fucking shot from the field, we're going to be okay. Dear listener, we were not okay. It did not get better after that. That was game 1 of, I believe, a 10-game losing streak. But yeah,
which was not our biggest losing streak of the year.
Not our biggest losing streak of the year. I can probably find who we lost to. I know Sam mentioned it in the Discord. But I don't think it totally matters.
It doesn't matter. It's a new year, new team.
It doesn't matter.
This whole team. I want to watch Glenn Taylor Jr.'s evolution. That's what I'm excited for. I think that's the one thing that isn't just exciting because it could lend to our successes this year, but it could be a bigger picture thing to keep an eye on. Is a guy in his second year in the program under Coach Tinkle, and like how does he evolve? Like what what elements of his game improve. I mean, he's one of 2 or 3 guys returning that played last year, and he's a sophomore, and he was probably the most skilled player on the court the majority of the year. So watching what he does could show us what the development of a lot of these freshmen could mean for the program pretty quickly, actually.
True.
I did not get the name of last year's exhibition opponent, but I did get the information that this year Louisville lost their exhibition game to Lenore Rhine by a score of 57-47. Louisville has won the national championship before. So by process of elimination, I believe we will be celebrating 2 national championships in women's and men's basketball this season for Oregon State University, the Harvard of the Pac-12. Plan the parade in the Pacific of the Paris of the Pacific Northwest, baby.
Up by 5.
Yeah, up by 5.
Yeah.
The whole route.
The whole goddamn thing. Don't even give a shit. So basketball yesterday is probably when you're listening to this at the earliest. Go Beavs, chop them. And
Let's
also I'd hate to end on a bummer, but this just came across the group text. Fuck JP.
Yeah.
Oregon State softball, Kiki Escobar out for the season.
Yeah.
Not
what happened?
What I wanted to fucking hear tonight.
I know. I haven't been able to find anything. I actually think I saw this sometime yesterday, but it was from her account talking about like she's gonna miss being out there. And so for a second I thought, is she transferring, right? And I was like, oh no. But in a way, this is a lot worse because I'd still be a Kiki fan even if she did transfer somewhere else, and this just means she can't play. And the other Instagram stories and Twitter posts, etc., started flooding in today about missing her out on the diamond out in the field, and that's a big blow to Laura Berg's team.
But a specific injury and timeline hasn't been specified in any of these.
I tried to look back and see like what it could have been, and they had their fall games. They had a couple practices and warm ups and whatnot, but nothing was like too intense. And I never saw anything about her leaving the game, though it probably would have happened inconspicuously, given like if she left the game at a fall exhibition, they would have just assumed she got her at bat or got a couple of chances in the field, and now she's out. So nothing's been like widely reported that I have seen, but she has declared herself. She said, "See you in 2024." So
that sucks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, wishing you a healthy and speedy recovery, Kiki.
Yes.
And we'll see you in 2024. And bummer, but hey, hashtag minor setback, major comeback, etc. That fucking sucks. That ruined my Sunday night, JP.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have nothing to offer the Beaver fam now to end this episode on a positive.
Well,
nothing. Kidding.
Give it your best.
That sucks. Laura Berg's team will, elevate and bounce back from that. I have no doubt. Before you know it, baseball and softball will be in action. So really excited for
right
that.
Around the corner.
Yo, I'm just saying this right now. You can say it, jinxing, whatever, just because of how big of a pain in the ass it was last year when just like during the tournament, I was trying to get tickets. I'm just buying College World Series tickets and accommodate in Omaha. No, I'm not saying in Omaha. I'm staying in the casino in Council Bluffs, Iowa, across the river, because they have like a brand new sports book that they apparently invested millions into. Yeah. So Benny, Iowa Casino. This is essentially where your entire family lives. Come on.
They live at the casino.
At the casino. They built the casino. So we'll be at Iowa casinos, whether Oregon State makes it or not. I'm gonna have hotel room and tickets for whatever. But obviously we hope Oregon State makes it, because I want us to win the Jello shot challenge at whatever bar. I'm forgetting the name of the bar now.
Terry, I have a question for you. Do you want to make another prediction?
I'd love to make another prediction.
Are you sure?
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
I love making predictions.
Is Tanner Smith gonna break the home run record this year now as he's Belligerent Beavs Athlete?
You motherfucker. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You heard it here first.
Tanner's going to hit 120 home runs this year
Nice.
and drive in 1,000 runs.
Oh man, that'll be so epic. I
Yes,
wouldn't be
sir.
surprised.
Every game is going to take 11 and a half hours because of how many runs we score. There we go. That's how you bring it back to positivity. Can't wait to be with you all in Council Bluffs, Iowa in June of 2023. It's gonna be amazing watching Oregon State beat Arkansas 137-1 for another national championship. From all of us here at the Belligerent Beavs podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars wherever you get your podcast, preferably on Apple or Spotify, but anywhere works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. We sincerely appreciate that. And if you have not yet already, please share the show with a friend. Send it to the smug University of Washington fan in your life.
Yeah.
That guy on the train who's being an asshole, but then being like, number 6 is like Damian Lillard. He's good. Send it to that guy. Washington fans, they're like Duck fans who are cool. That's basically how I think of, Washington fans. They'll listen to a Beavs podcast for sure. So send this episode to the Washington fan in your life. It'll at least give us some listening numbers, whatever. And then if they want to give us a 5-star review out of charity, we'll take it. My name is Terry Horstman. You can follow me on Twitter still. We're still on it. We haven't been suspended yet. I'm at Terry Horstman on Twitter and at Terrence Horstman on Instagram. I am joined by my lovely, amazing, fantastic, smart as fuck, well-spoken co-host as always, JP Bertram at the Trill J on Twitter, at the _Trill_J because he's too trill to be real, and at JP Bertram on Instagram. And Benjamin Lawrence, Sebastian Wehage, Benny with the good quaff, Benny Bedlam. He's fucking crazy. And you can find him at BennyL1986 on both Twitter and Instagram. And I think we're all on Facebook somewhere. At Belligerent Beavs on Twitter, at Belligerent Beavs on Instagram. And we will be back with another episode next week, hopefully recapping an Oregon State football victory against the Golden Bears.
Yeah.
And no matter what happens, who's out for what season, winning gold at the Olympics or the World Championships or whatever, no matter what, remember on this 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, or whatever of November that you can't spell chop 'em without hope. Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Bring back Bernice.